Hey everyone, I'm Captain Forrest Falcon, and this was my journey to defeating I Want to Be the Love Trap's Hatsune Miku Mach 2. Or should I say Hatsune Mach 2? It makes a lot more sense now that I've actually been doing this for so long. That to actually make that sort of fun. So pretty much what this is what I spent my time doing from the moment that I finished recording that last episode of I Want to Be the Love Trap. Pretty much what I did is I just kept on recording every single day a bit of I Want to Be the Love Trap for anywhere from, say, an hour to multiple hours every day. And this is the result of it. As you can see from just watching the start, yeah, I clearly wasn't doing so well the first several days or so. And that comes just due to the fact that it actually was pretty lucky that I made it as far as I did when I did that live take of it the last time, because I just didn't really have any flow or pattern for the most part. And these first several days are just me developing some consistency in some of the earlier parts of the boss fight. Anyway, I'm not showing everything because that would have taken forever. I'm only showing the things that I found kind of interesting or fun or nifty little tricks that I made it through. It's just sort of like my journey where I'm just showing how I keep getting better and better as the boss fight goes on. And yeah, it was just crazy, let me tell you. It's probably the craziest thing that I have ever done in my life, I'd have to say. The amount of ridiculousness that I put into doing this consistently, day after day, it's something that I feel I've never done in years. Even though it's for a video game, it's just the sheer amount of work that went into doing this. This is where we actually start going back into the learning phase. That's one of those things that takes so much time, is just getting into the actual learning of it. Now, as you could probably guess, this wouldn't be something that I would be sane doing, just listening to the same music all the frickin' time. Well, there's a reason, simple explanation for that. I wasn't always listening to this music all the time. I had several different strategies. The most common one, which was to just put the game on mute and then just put music on in the background. And I did this quite often earlier on in this journey. Not so much once I actually started making serious progress, because once you get to that point, you sort of need to be in sync with the music so you don't screw up the ending. But I made some pretty damn serious progress just listening to completely different songs, so I actually have a playlist, which I'll probably make public, the songs that I felt I did the best at while listening to, instead of the original, I guess I Want to Be Love Track, Disappearance of Hatsune Miku. And yeah, the reason I showed this one is just because I actually was pretty surprised there. I actually made back-to-back, making it to the second Speedy Cherry segment. And pretty much the hardest thing that comes to learning this sort of stuff is just figuring out how to stay alive during that. Just developing your own pattern to it. Oh, this particular segment, the music you're actually hearing, yeah, that's actually the music that I was listening to when doing this particular segment. Just one of those things I sort of did with this highlights. I did actually include the music that was actually the result of me being successful in parts of the boss fight. Let me tell you, those pink cherry phases, gosh, those could be some of the craziest things that you end up surviving. Next to the leaks, of course, I'm gonna be honest, the leaks is probably my favorite segment of this boss fight, just because it's so much fun and it's actually very survivable. Although it looks like it gets super crazy, it's actually really survivable. Apparently, the second leak phase, though, is better than the first one for me, because I'm not taking the first one that seriously, so I ended up having a lot of deaths. Even later on during my runs of this game, I would still just struggle during the first leak phase sometimes. Oh yes, DD music. Gotta love that. And gotta love just barely dodging all of this. And what else can I say? I guess some other things that I started comparing this to is I actually compared this to, made various hockey metaphors to get me through this BS. Like, just sort of comparing doing this every single battle is like its own unique hockey game. Making it past the first Pig Cherry phase is like scoring a goal. Making it past the next Pig Cherry phase is the second goal, and making it all the way to the end, that would be a hat trick. It was pretty much just a case of me working my ways towards scoring a hat trick. I also compared it to winning the Stanley Cup. Also compared it to, what else did I compare it to? Can't actually think of what else I might have compared it to at the time, but I'm assuming that it was also hockey. Just like the, well, let's see, regular season journey, making it past the Pig Cherry phase 1, that would be making it to the playoffs. Leagues, that would be first round, next Pig Cherry, second round. The BS you have to deal with after that, third round, and then the insane phase, that would be the Stanley Cup. Oh boy, now we're getting to January 30th, and this is where stuff starts to get real. Because this is where we start making some serious progress, as you'll see very shortly. But I always love just when you make the leak dodges on the far left, just because it's so unpredictable there, because you don't know if a leak's going to just come and destroy your everything in a few seconds. So one thing that I sort of gathered from watching various other people's attempts and from my own experience, I kind of knew that in order for me to possibly survive that crazy cherry phase, I would have to move left at least once. But this part is right here is essential to the entire run. There's just this moment where I got up on this platform and I just made so much learning right then. Just so much freaking learning in those few seconds. And as you can see, we're already at February 2nd, so the time's just been flying by. But now I actually have a pattern that I'm sort of following. I just need to better execute my way of making it onto that platform. And I'm just taking my time, thinking it through. And this is the last time that I was listening to music other than I Want to Be the Love Trap right here. I was listening to His World, of course, and wouldn't you know it, it's going to end up being one of those runs where I end up making some decent progress. Because so many times things like that just don't happen because you end up screwing up the Pig Cherry phase. The Pig Cherry phase is just always that thing that you end up screwing up over and over again. Even with practice, I still end up dying there. So much. That's one of the reasons why it took me so long just to make it this far in the battle, is just because I keep on dying there. Over and over and over again. And I think this might be it. I think this might be actually be the moment here. Nope, not quite. That was the last time where I died at that part there. Because once I actually have gotten my pattern, which you'll see right here, pretty much every single time after this, I don't die here. Every single time. Sort of just once you get a pattern going. Like, it's not that much of a pattern, but it's good enough that I survive. And now that I've gotten that survival under my belt, I can do it pretty much every time. And we have made it past what was probably the hardest thing for me to learn in this boss fight. As you can tell, that took like so much freaking time. That took from January 19th to February 3rd for me to make it past that phase. And once you get up there, it's a lot easier because I have several references that I would refer to. And since it follows just a pattern, it's just crazy. Oh, do you see that Pig Cherry that killed me there? That was one of my top annoyances for the entire boss fight. Just the fact that the cherries, they hit the corner, and when they hit the corner, they go in the exact same pattern that they just went originally. So if they've gone in a pattern where they have passed through that top left corner multiple times and then they corner, that's just brutal, because that means that this single cherry is going to have made 4 passes right where you're going to be, and it just completely wrecks you. And so I've kind of got an idea of what I want to do here, but I just didn't quite do my homework there for when I needed to time it out. Because I did the survival up until the point where the cherries just start thundering past you at an incredible pace, but it just wasn't enough. Not in that case. And boy, I just still can't believe that I actually came this far, because I'm gonna be honest, this was probably one of the most wearying and tiring and just wrecked by everything kind of boss fights. Like, I couldn't possibly do this for longer than, say, 1 hour or so. And once we got into a certain point, I actually just, instead of not listening to the music, what I would do is I'd just take the headphones off for the early points of the boss fight, just because of the fact that I've heard those same parts so many times. Oh, now this particular pattern here, it's important because it's how I perfect leaks even more. By just doing that little hop onto the first platform, I ensure that Hatsune Mach 2 is going to make it up there high enough that I'm not going to have any concerns when the leaks are down there. It makes that middle slot there open for me to do jumps. If you can't tell, I should hopefully, past me should have indicated where I was going to be surviving there. And here we go. I've actually entered the pattern now, and I actually survived. And so this is attempt 1 at surviving Crazy Hatsune Miku's random cherry assault. And I pretty much knew from the moments that I would get here, I would die to that first time. I'm a bit disappointed about how I died, because I could have just gone under it and survived, but you know, you just lose all you just go into full panic mode when you get to that DS. That's pretty much one of the reasons why I couldn't concentrate at some points. It's just because you know, some phases when you're not familiar with it, you just automatically start panicking, and I want to be the guy games. It's just how it goes, and there's nothing you can do. You just have to build up that endurance to the boss fights. Oh my gosh. So many times I end up making it into the pattern there, but that stupid thing, Hatsune, you have to make sure she stays so incredibly low to the ground. That's why you have to put off climbing up there, even though it's not necessarily important for dodging the cherries. It's important because you need to keep Hatsune low to the ground. Otherwise, she's gonna catch you with her little leak there, and it's gonna just decimate you. I was pretty proud of that leak survival there, just because of the fact that, yeah, I just went and survived against the left side of the wall. Always a happy moment. And trust me, although I haven't shown them all, there were a lot of deaths during the multiple cherry phases, as you can see just from the text right there. And from this point on, we'll be actually listening to in-game music, just because, well, there wasn't anything short enough to fit that moment there. And it's fitting that during actual decent attempts, I actually show the music. And just, so that's attempt 2. Let's see how this one goes. Because any moment that you actually make it to this point, it could have been the end right here. Just any time, it's like the end is awaiting, but no, she shot the perfect shot for absolutely destroying me. I don't think there is anything I could have done there at that point. Probability dictates that Hatsune is going to be a bitch. That's just the way things are, and you just have to accept it. Oh, here's attempt 3. Let's see how this one goes. Yeah. Just a hint. Since I clearly am not showing the rest of the boss fight, how do you think it goes? I honestly felt that if I cleared that one green cherry there, as the text is saying, I honestly felt that if I cleared that one cherry, it would have been over. But alas, it ended up not being the case. And this is actually a very surprising time for me to be putting this run up here, because it actually wasn't a time where I was just spending time alone focusing on this. I was actually just relaxing in the living room with family and just doing a few runs of this and just kind of casual, keep up the practice, maybe get a few lucky shots. Pretty much never expected any of this to happen. Just didn't expect any of it. But, oh, I guess one thing I could mention is I'd actually started doing one thing that I thought was a great idea to keep things new towards the end phases. I'd actually started naming all the kids. Like, I came up with some crazy, ridiculous names, came up with all kinds of little backstories. Some of them were all descendants of each other, living to save their predecessor's honor for dying in such a horrible, horrible early phase death. And some were odd, bizarros, weird guys. And then I also started naming some of them after you guys, subscribers and other friends. And unfortunately, it wasn't one of you guys that ended up making it. I'm sorry. It's just not the way things ended up working out. So this particular kid, his name is Rune. Yes, it's probably one of my favorite fictional characters that I ever created. I just love the fact that it's the most ludicrous name. And because it's spelt R-O-O-N. Like, not R-U-N-E, it's spelt Rune. And it's just something that no one would ever get. And it just doesn't make any sense why you would choose that particular spelling, but I did it. Just because I could. And pretty much all the time, it's like either teachers or friends would be asking, is that word meant to be spelled Rube? And I'm like, no, it's Rune. Oh, you mean like R-U-N-E? No, Rune. That's the character's name. And it just was the strangest thing that nobody would seem to get. But, whatever. That was probably my first, one of my first long, sort of stories that I had to write for school that I ever did. That was in 4th grade, I think. It's kind of crazy that it ended up being, those guys that ended up, doing decently. Well, the other main characters, they didn't do so hot. I believe Andrew, he kind of got his buttocks cleaned in the very first yellow cherry phase. So, Rune, it's small wonder that I had low expectations of Rune here, because coming off a run like that, you don't exactly expect to then beat this boss fight. And what else can I really say? Oh, I actually had an unusual dream, probably around February 2nd. It was a strange case, but that dream ended up beating the giant kid. And I somehow did it before ever beating this Hatsune Miku Mach 2. I somehow found a secret path that was painful and hard to make it through and beat the giant kid on my first try. Of course, as any sane person would know, you don't exactly expect high things from yourself, beating the giant kid first try, and naturally I had extreme doubts in my dream. I'm like, no, this didn't happen. And so Dream Self goes to incredible lengths to prove that it actually did happen, traveling all the way to go find the original creator of I Want to Be the Love Trap, who, of course, as you would expect, happened to be some 8-year-old girl for some reason, and who confirmed that it was a real thing. And then, of course, you end up waking up, and you're still thinking about this, and you're thinking, okay, that was a dream. There's no way that ended up happening. I can tell you right now that this stuff here, this wasn't a dream, thank gosh. Although I'm pretty sure that the next day after, I'm just looking through the footage to confirm that this did actually happen. Oh boy. Here's round 4. So, I did a good job of staying left long enough to give me a chance, and got lucky. So freaking lucky against that last blue cherry. It just scraped my scalp. And naturally, as anyone would do, I'm just sitting here waiting for what was one of my nightmares, which is the dreaded, do the Hatsune Miku phase to start up. Yeah, I just want to make sure that doesn't end up happening, because that would be complete BS. And now, naturally, as anyone would do, you just start shooting out to a victory song. And that's really it, so It's pretty crazy. I owe you guys a lot because I never would have ever contemplated actually genuinely beating this boss, but heck, I did it. I've got you guys to thank for it. And as for what will be in the future, well, next time, my gosh, there's still a next time after that amazing stuff. But yeah, next time, hopefully I'll have Generation 71 here, and we'll do some co-commentary through the rest of the boss tower, and we'll get to see my first impressions of the final boss, Mach 1 of I Want to Be the Love Trap, who I've never in my life fought before. Thank you guys so much for watching. May you soar like the amazing falcons you are, and have a wonderful day.